Hey, what's up, my Theta legends? How are we doing today? I'm going to give a idea that is basically a variant of the one that we just had, and I really like this idea, and it would definitely make sense according to the total 3 fractal. And so remember a couple videos ago, I basically said this could be Wyckoff accumulation here, right? And in which case we want to see this rounded out and then play. But that's a different schematic. What if we don't have that schematic? Instead, we have the first one where we get a spring and then go. So let me show you that. First of all, this is our total 3 fractal. So if we, you could see we need a little bit more downside. You could see right in there. So if that's the case and we need to come down to that bull market support band and sort of finish out that wave, then that means theta is like right on the brink of support, or I should say actually breaking support. So my thing is, well, what if it does break support? Everybody's going to be super bearish. We're going to go down and back test, $1.50. That's what I've been saying. But what if something else happens, something nobody expects? Well, look at this. This is our old buddy, our old pal, Mr. Wyckoff accumulation schematic, the one thing that really kicked off this channel and basically, seeing the price of theta doing what the price of theta does, right? I mean, if we zoom out, this is what we had here, right? And this is what I was talking about back in October, this massive Wyckoff accumulation pattern. And you could say, well, what does that have to do with what we're doing now? Because we could be creating something like that as well. So again, this whole thing was Wyckoff accumulation. You can see this move up, this move down, right? Move down. Then we had this spring pattern. Here we have the spring pattern, and then we shot up, and now we're right where this green circle is, right? So we also had another Wyckoff accumulation down here. You can't see it because I'm on the higher time frame, but if you zoom all the way in, we also had a Wyckoff structure. And again, that's right where my channel launched, really, is, when I started doing theta videos. So if I take that off and I take this off, and let's put this over here, and now let's see if we can figure out what's happening. So if we zoom in a little bit, what I think is going on here, potentially, right? Because remember, we were looking at this schematic right here, and this is kind of what we were following. And basically, you have schematic 1 and you have schematic 2. So we were looking at schematic 2. Why? Because it matched up nicely. It had this round curve right in here that we were looking for, something like this, and then continue higher. Just how this was a round curve and you continue higher. So we were looking for this right in here, looking for this right here. Obviously, that didn't happen. So what we could do is take that guy and see you later. So this is actually a better schematic. This one gives much more bullish price action, in my opinion, because it creates a spring effect and a liquidity grab all at the same time. So without further ado, let's get into this. This is absolutely amazing. The way this is shaping up to be what this could, this Wyckoff schematic here. So there we go. We got our lines here. You got 2 lines on the top, 2 lines on the bottom, basically matching up pretty nicely. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is something that is designed to make you sell and to make you quit and to make you basically give up all your coins, right? Because what have we been saying? We've basically been saying, if this range breaks, we're most likely going to come down and back test this $1.50, $1.60 area, right? Somewhere in here. And then continue higher. And that would be a big 1, 2, 1, 2. But what if we do break down, but instead of going all the way down there, what we're doing is actually creating a spring pattern, right? So let me show that right now. So first of all, we have this Three-way move to the upside. Same thing here. We have this three-way move to the upside, right? You can see where the horizontal line meets the resistance right there. And then you could see we come all the way down to support. Same thing here. We come all the way down to support. And then we make our way back up to the resistance without taking out this high. That's exactly what we did. We had this three-way move, 1, 2, 3, all the way up without taking out this high. And then the Wyckoff example, right, shows the price sort of creeping and creeping and creeping and falling and falling. I mean, it's been falling since May 24th, right? And we're sitting here, what, June 24th. Look at that. Or no, June 8th. Sorry, I was looking at the year. So no, this is May 21st, right? And this is June 8th. So we've been falling a while, and this spring pattern. So what I think is happening here, right? You could see what a spring does. It actually breaks the support here, this support here, and the support here. So, you know, excluding this wick, I would imagine it's either finished now or it's in the process of being finished. So we come down here, we break all of this support, we break it, we grab that liquidity, and then bam, we take it back up, right? Then we play around in here where the green circle is, and then we continue higher. So that, I think, is my new sort of variant idea from what we've had, right? Because let's sort of recap here. I'll take everything off the screen. So the main idea has always been, ever since I started this channel, is getting back into the retracement levels somewhere up here. Right? That's been the main idea. So how we get there, that's a tougher cookie. So in this main idea, we had a Wyckoff pattern, and we broke out, right? And now we're on our way in the retracement. And on the way in the retracement, we had this wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and now we're gonna get wave 5. So that's basically been the main idea. Now, that idea is still fully intact, and it's still my main idea, and basically, you know, wave 4 isn't finished yet. So basically we're waiting for wave 4 to finish. Now, if this is A, this is B, and then we come down for C and we back test in here, then what we have is a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And then we go higher, which is basically the same thing, except it's counted differently. And instead of the wave 4, you know, correcting, you know, somewhere in this area, we have to come down and we actually back test this whole area, because you can see here, 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 and here. This is very critical line here. So we could come down and back test it and go. That's been also in that main idea category. So, so basically what it boils down to is how this wave basically finishes. Does it finish now, or does it have to come down and back test and then finish? So, you know, the main idea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 1, 2, go. So basically it's the same thing. The overall direction is getting up here. So however this works itself out, does it have to come down? Does it work itself out? Have to come back up, then come down? Whatever the case is, the wave 4 is you know, maturing. It's getting more and more complete, and we just have to sit back and wait. So now we got that out of the way, and that's basically been the main, right? And then even zooming out further, the main has been, this is our base. This is a massive impulse. We have a massive correction. We built a accumulation base here, just like how this is an accumulation base. And you can see we broke out, we back tested. We break out, we could probably come down and back test. But ultimately, the direction is up. The direction is up. Now, what happens in the retracement levels? We're going to get there. Once we get there, then we can talk about it. Either, we can get there, right? I'm still very bullish. Even if we do come all the way down to $1.50, I'm still very bullish. Why? Because we have a breakout, and we broke out of a massive range. So coming down to backtest the top of that range is actually bullish, not bearish. But anyways, if we get up here in the retracement levels, either we can flag out, play around, continue higher, or we come all the way down and we basically build a range in here, which is called reaccumulation. So rise, crash, retrace. We come down into reaccumulation, we go sideways, then we break out. So those are the two ideas that can happen. Obviously, the big mega bearish thing could happen is A, B, C, and then go, which would be very, very, very bearish. But I really highly, highly doubt that would happen because it's already so big, and usually a C wave doesn't break this low if we have a big base, and we do. So either we're going to flag out or go into reaccumulation. But first, we have this one little problem. This little pesky wave 4 that we've been dealing with for it feels like a long time. So it's actually we've been dealing with it since March, the beginning of March. So all of March, all of April, and sort of middle June. So basically we've been dealing with this for 2.5 months, right? Trying to figure out what the hell this thing is doing. And basically what it boils down to is not what it's doing, but what it's correcting. And what it's correcting is this massive impulse, right? You could see this is an impulse, and all of these candles are corrections, which tells me that once this is complete, we have more upside to go. So we just have to be patient. So now that we established all of that, now let's focus on what is happening here. So one of the things that we talked about what's happening here is obviously this is an A, B, C, and now we're building our base and we're about to go for that next wave to the upside, right? So that's basically simple enough. So we come down A, or we come down A, B, C, 1, 2, right? And then another maybe 1, 2, and then continue higher. Basically just building a base on the bull market support band. So that's basically been the main idea. The other idea is to say that this whole thing is wave A, this whole thing is wave B, and then we come down for wave C, and then we go. So it's the same thing, it's just more complex, right? So that's basically been the two main ideas. It's going to be either one or the other. So now we're basically on the brink of, crashing here, and what it looks like to be, impulsing to the downside. The question I have is, what if it's a trap? Because it has all the ramifications of being something like, again, like this, right? So what I think is happening here is, it's not for sure. Nothing is ever for sure. This is not financial advice, but we could see somewhere where that green circle is, right? That's maybe where we're at here, somewhere over there. So it's not really confirmed yet, again, but let's just entertain that idea for a minute. So if this is going to be the case, we already have 5 waves, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Maybe 5 isn't done and we have one more wave. We come down and we break this line. We break this resistance or support. We break this support and we break this support. It gets everybody very bearish, right? So we're essentially, making this 5-wave move down, right? We break the low. We could even break this wick here below, what's that wick at? $1.73, right? We break it, and then we quickly come back up and reverse to the upside. We come back. That'll be the thing I'm looking for, right? So are we going to, if we do break it, are we going to break it, come back up and reject it, then come down? That's going to be a big thing, right? Do we get rejected, or do we break it, we come back up and we hold it as support and then continue moving higher? If we can break back, if we break below it and then break back above this line and hold it then as support, that's going to to me, that's going to really confirm this whole Wyckoff pattern, right? So a buying opportunity for a trade or whatever would be probably right there. So wait for that, right? Not financial advice, but that's kind of what I'm waiting for, right? Or if you want to be a little more risky, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're hodling for a long time, it doesn't really matter, right? But maybe trying to catch this falling knife here, that would be also a good one there. Or if you want to be really conservative, wait until we get all the way back up here, and then we start playing around like this. Once you start seeing this movement in here, that's kind of like right there. So but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Again, we've been talking about the schematic 2, but we really didn't consider schematic 1. Basically, the difference is one of them comes around and swoops here like a U shape. The other one sort of quickly falls and then quickly reverses. So yeah, I really like this idea. Let's see if this idea plays out. Now, if we keep falling and falling and falling, right, then we can sort of, obviously it's invalid and we can discard it. At least we know that's not what it is. So I would say, if we spend longer than a week and a half, or really if a week, I'm going to be then more convinced that we're going to come down and need to backtest this area around $1.45, $1.65, somewhere in that area. We'll get closer as the time goes. So yeah, that's basically the idea. So if this idea doesn't work, right? Because what we're looking for is a liquidity grab, right? Get everybody bearish, right? Because a lot of people were optimistic, but a lot of people are, the sentiment has changed now. So if you break it even lower, people are going to be even more bearish than they already are. And then they're going to say, okay, I'm out, I'm done, that's it, I can't take it anymore. But that's when all the liquidity rushes in, and that's where they absorb it, and that's where they take it right up. It happens every single time. For retail, right, where that's like their little master plan at how to take people out of the market. That's exactly what happened here. You can kind of see you have the support and the support, right? And we came down, we broke it here, and we basically collapsed. That's exactly what happened here as well. Take everything off. This was also a Wyckoff. It was a little tricky to read, but here's your support here, right? So we come up, come back down, come up, and then we go in the spring phase. We bounce off support, looks really, really bullish, right? Because we're bouncing off support, then bam, we come down. Then everybody's like, okay, we broke this, we broke this, we broke this. I'm gonna go short, and that was literally the best opportunity of your life to buy Theta. Was literally right on the spring phase, right? It was basically, because people who have millions and millions of dollars, they need to fill their orders. But if there's not enough liquidity in the market for those people to fill their orders, they need to force people's hands to force that liquidity. And the way they do that is by bringing the price below support. And then everybody either sells, right, so that the supply comes in, But then also the stop losses get triggered, people get liquidated, and then the market makers basically make out like a bandit. And then the price quickly reverses, you play around in here, and then bam, it's off to the races. So my question is that what's happening here? Right? Same thing here. You come up, you come down, and now if we break, we haven't broke it yet, but if we break it, it's going to feel really bearish. Everybody's going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be shorting, they're going to be selling, they're going to be convinced we're going lower, when in reality, it's a V-shaped recovery, boom, 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 and then go. So it's a long, it doesn't feel like that, right? It's a long shot. Everything has to go right. But hey, it's an idea and it makes sense. I'm not saying this idea is going to work, but it would make sense to me, because you always want to think like a market maker. How can you trap people? How can you make, shake out all the weak hands, right? Well, you develop these sort of patterns here. But if it fails, then at least we know that's not the case, and we're coming down here. So then basically if it does fail, everything gets out the window and it all narrows down to one idea. And that one idea is absolutely the most bullish idea we have. And that is, right, again, a 1, 2, 1, ABC 2, right? Which is back testing wave 1, which is going to be very bullish if we can get there. But if it doesn't, and we come down in this Wyckoff, it's still going to be very, very bullish. So let's say we don't break to the down, let's say the Wyckoff pattern fails. Then where can we target? Well, if I get a trend-based fib extension and I put it here to the top of this wave, to the bottom of this wave, back to the top of this wave, you can see the 1.414 and the 1618. So I would say about $1.60 to $1.40, between $1.40 and $1.60, somewhere in that box. And that would be, in my opinion, a very, very, very big buy. I mean, this is the time to not DCA. This is the time to go heavy, if we get it. If we get the spring, then hey, we get the spring. But if we don't, we come down here, it's good. It's going to be just as bullish. So let's see what happens. Okay, I haven't looked at Theta Fuel in a while. Basically, the last time we talked about it was, again, still very bullish, right? We're still way above the bull market support band. We're still in bullish price territory, and it still has that flat, right? So we have an A, we have a B, we have a C, right? A running flat, and then we have a 1, and then it looks like an A, B, C for wave 2. So this is 1, this is wave 1, this is wave 2, right? So the question is wave 2 finished? Well, if it wouldn't appear that way. It appears like it needs a little bit more lower to go, just like Theta does, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's come down for 5. And here's the thing: Theta Fuel has not yet back tested the bull market support band. That's one thing we have not done yet. That's one thing I would have liked to see happen. And I think that's probably coming, right? I mean, we talked about it all in here, the possibility of coming down to back test the bull market support band. So let me just extend this out a little bit. There we go. So somewhere in here, I think we're getting close, and it's going to finish out this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C. And then it actually takes out this low, right? And then we continue higher. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here with Theta Fuel. Can it go lower? Yes. okay to break below the bull market support band? Yes. But as long as we hold this low, I think we're good. So as long as we hold that zone, I say we're still very bullish, because we're we don't want to break below this wave one here, which is right at 7 cents. So as long as we stay above that, I mean, we have plenty of wiggle room to the upside. Now, as far as Theta Fuel, I'm going to make a Theta Fuel kind of only video, right? And we're going to talk about targets in that video. But I want to see how this finishes here, and then we can talk about targets. I still have higher price targets for Theta Fuel, right? Nothing has changed at all. And by the way, this was also a Wyckoff accumulation event right here, but it was schematic 2 instead of schematic 1. How it had that more roundish look to it. And I mean, you can even argue it's a mixture of 1 and 2, because it did break the low slightly here. You can see I'll put it right there. Yeah, so you can see here's your low, support, and look at this. We broke support, and we actually closed below it, and it actually came back in, and then it back tested, getting back into that zone. And that's what I was saying back on Theta, right? If we want a good trading opportunity that's conservative, wait for Theta to fall below the support, then wait for it to come back up, then wait for it to back test, and then buy that support. That would be a good area. But some quick targets here. I mean, I don't really like talking about targets until we break the 236. We got to at least break one retracement level to even start talking about retracements. But nonetheless, I do believe we are on our way to that 30 cent, 50 cent area, getting back up into these retracement levels. Now, if we break the all-time high, I mean, that's going to be a much later date, but the first target I would say is about $1.20. Between $1 and $1.20. So yeah, I mean, we're sitting here at 8 cents, so $1.20. That's a pretty big move there from where we are right now. So approximately, we're looking at 1,200% up to 1,300%. That's the first target, though, right? I mean, we still have targets up here at $1.64, $1.89. And if it wants to do a full 4.236 Fibonacci extension, which I believe it inevitably will at some point, we're looking at, $3. So a $3 Theta Fuel sounds pretty insane. Ballpark, I mean, you're looking at about 3,400% move to the upside. So, but we'll get more accurate details, and I'm going to pull up more extensions, but that's just the basic one for now. So one real quick here, boom, boom, and boom. We almost made it to the 2618, but I would really target between 21 and 24 cents. And that's kind of been what I've been thinking here, is getting obviously back up here somehow, some way. And what's happening here, right, is you see that green circle? That's exactly where I think Theta Fuel is. So here's your Wyckoff accumulation area, same thing here, right? And then you have your little back test in here, and that's the same thing. What we're getting now is that back test right in there. So we come down for the spring, come down for the spring, come back up, bounce, 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 continue higher. Same thing on the example. You're bouncing here before you continue higher. So we're still working out this area in here, and it could take some time. And then you can see it's already taken quite a bit of time. But eventually, once it gets itself worked out, maybe we have to back test the bull market support band, finish out wave 5, but I think we're getting very, very close. And again, when we look at Bitcoin real quick, we're sitting here almost at all-time highs. So the worst case that I see for Bitcoin is coming back, or I won't say worst case, but I say what I'm thinking here for Bitcoin is coming back down in here, right? So either what this is going to be for Bitcoin real fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th is truncated. We get an A, B, C, and then we kind of go up. So that would be a rise, crash, retrace. We come down for reaccumulation. We build a base down in here, basically in the middle. So here's the top, here's the bottom. If you cut it right down the middle, you're bouncing on top, you're resisting on the bottom. But once you get through the top, then you kind of gravitate towards the bottom and sort of seal, kind of make that final weld, right? You're basically sealing it up before you take off. So either we're gonna have to make another high here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a diagonal, and then get that ABC, or that ABC is starting now before we go higher. So we had this move down, we had this move up. Now we need to come back down and then kind of go sideways. So let me just draw that for an example here. So the price comes up, the price comes down, price goes back up, but instead of going up like this, usually it comes up and it gets rejected. So then it has to come back down. But instead of going all the way down, it kind of goes in the middle here, right? It goes in the middle, and then it can go back up. So that's usually what happens. Rise, crash, retrace. You come down for reaccumulation. You go sideways a little bit, and then you continue higher. So I think Bitcoin is somewhere right there. And when you match up what Theta needs to do, right? That liquidity grab we talked about for the Wyckoff, that potential idea. Or, if Bitcoin makes its way down here, to that 63, 64, 65K area, then Theta could potentially, I would imagine definitely break below, the support area, and in which case it would make it to the target area. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it now. We have noticed the altcoins are very, very sensitive. So any little Bitcoin movement, the altcoins have gotten more volatile. So hopefully it exerted that pressure. So now when Bitcoin moves down, because it still has to move, right? So if you look, Bitcoin moved approximately what was that? About $3,500. So it moved $3,500, and it still has potentially another between 35 and 4,000, or actually $5,000. So between $35 and $5,000 more to the downside. So if that's the case, right, then we go back to Theta. If it's still doing that, then Theta fell how many cents? 32 down. It actually fell 50 cents, right? So 51 cents. So Bitcoin fell about that $3,500 mark, and Theta fell 50 cents. So for every $3,500 Bitcoin falls, Theta falls 50 cents, right? So if it has another, 35 to 4,000, you can see it way below that dollar. That's why I don't think that trend's going to continue, because I just think it would be a little bit too excessive. So, but it does make me wonder if that Wyckoff accumulation pattern would play out. I mean, so far it's an idea. It's not confirmed, not even close. This could be a legitimate breakdown. So always know that. Don't bet on the spring. So basically just, wait and see what happens. I mean, the bottom could be already in now, right? Because you do have this wick here, right? So the wick fell and it took out this and it took out this and it took out these wicks over here, right? It didn't take out this bottom one, but it did take out all of these highs or these lows already. So maybe that was it. Maybe that's all she wrote, right? In which case Bitcoin would then not need to come down, but rather this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're in A, B, we got a C, like a running flat, and now we're going to continue up for wave 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. I don't really like it a lot. It's kind of, again, we're at a big inflection point, so we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But that's all I have for us today. So no matter what happens, I think we're still very, very bullish on the macro. Bitcoin is still at the upper part of its range. It backtested the bull market support band. It's at near all-time highs. It's consolidating. It's most likely going into reaccumulation. And then as far as Theta goes, it's still very bullish because we're trending higher, right? 1, 2, 3. Do we have to come down for 4 and backtest, then go? Or do we have a Wyckoff, then go? If we start breaking below this low, then we have to erase everything we know. And we have to start over, right? Because a break below $1 to 90 cents would be kind of like a catastrophic failure. And that would mean we're probably having some much more detrimental price action. So I'm not going to really talk about that now because there's no point. But again, anything can happen in crypto. My main idea has been out there. If we do break this low and we do break this low, then obviously this is an ABC. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because that would be pretty bad breaking, But I don't really like it as an ABC because the landing here, or this bottom here, was just way too big for it to be an ABC. But it's certainly possible. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Hope you guys find it, somewhat useful. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.